watching the best Fox 10 News at 9.
Well, as we all know, medical marijuana is now the law in Arizona. We're the 15th state to join the party, so to speak. But just who gets to dispense medical marijuana and exactly who will qualify for it? Those details are still being worked out. The Arizona Department of Health Services is in charge of figuring this all out. But even before the specifics are decided, people are already lining up and beginning to cash in on medical marijuana the business. People are paying money to learn how to open dispensaries, doctors setting up shop to recommend it to patients. And today, I spoke to the director of the Arizona Department of Health Services, Will Humble, and got his take on what's happening. Will Humble, director of Arizona Department of Health Services. Okay, now you've got these guys coming in even this weekend, holding seminars on how to sell this stuff.
Right. Well, you know, honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm not paying very much attention to this kind of stuff at all. What we're really trying to do is to finish our rulemaking package so that we've got a responsible program in the end. And the big focus really over the last couple of weeks for me is really to set forward some criteria that holds physicians accountable and making sure that when they write a certification for somebody that they really do have a debilitating medical.
You can control that.
And by working with the 4 licensing boards, we think that we can have a real positive impact in making sure that this stays medical and doesn't deteriorate into a recreational program.
Let me show you this. This is New Times. They've got a whole section now. Chronicles all your medical marijuana needs in one place. Weed index, hydroclass, doob tubes, medicine as fresh as the day you rolled it. I mean, look at this.
The only ones on there. The only ones on there that bother me are the ones that are physicians that are saying come in and see us for a certification, because to me that is the front end. If this program gets out of control and ends up being a recreational program like it is in the other states, it will be because we were ineffective at holding physicians accountable and ensuring that the recommendations and certifications that they write are for people who really do have a debilitating medical condition.
Well, let me ask you, there are people who are going to read this stuff and who voted for this who want a recreational program. They want their weed. So who are you to stop them?
Well, you know what? If they would have called this the Arizona Recreational Marijuana Act, I'd be behaving differently. But they called it medical. They campaigned on medical. They gave it to a public health agency who's charged with doing something about substance abuse in this state. And by golly, that's what we're going to do, make this medical.
Okay. Will Humble, Arizona Department of Health Services. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, joining us now is the head of it's kind of a marijuana university called Greenway University. This is the CEO and founder of Greenway University. The seminars, by the way, will happen this weekend to teach people about medical marijuana, and it is sold out. Gus Escamilla joins us tonight. Gus, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You just heard Will Humble. You're going to have to deal with him. He says we're going to keep this thing strictly medical. Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. I think he certainly has a job ahead of him, and I have to applaud him for taking on this task, and it's going to be a work in progress, and we have to do everything that we can to work with local and state legislators to ensure that his endeavors and the endeavors of the entire state legislature are met.
Well, that's a very PC answer, Gus, but let's face it, in the business world, which is really what you're about, these seminars are how to teach people how to set up shop and do it appropriately and make money doing it. I don't think you can make the money for an investor simply treating the sick. You're going to have to get the recreational user in the equation. That's where the big money is.
Well, I mean, that's one observation that you could take. However, it is medical marijuana for patient use, and the demand with the debilitating diseases and with the chronic illnesses that are currently in place, we feel that the demand would be sufficient enough to do so. And we feel that this industry in and of itself is so much larger than the cultivation and distribution of medical marijuana for patient use. This industry actually supports a lot of other industries, whether it be insurance companies, whether it be banking, whether it be attorneys, physicians, CPAs.
The guys who build the grow lights, the fertilizer companies, all of those stand to benefit.
Yeah, and there's so many ancillary models that this industry supports. It's not just the cultivation of medical marijuana for patient use, coupled with the fact that most people are under the impression that they think of marijuana cigarettes as the only form of consumption. And that couldn't be further from the truth. You have edibles, tinctures, concentrates, sodas. You
Gus,
actually have bombs.
You've got it covered. Hey, listen, you've opened up dispensaries, more than 200 of them in the West. California and Colorado are the big winners in all of this from your perspective.
Right.
What have you learned from those experiences, and what should Arizona not do?
Well, I have to say that Arizona's doing everything right. They're staying ahead of the legislation. They're currently enacting rules to monitor, track the medicine itself, and they're staying one step ahead of the curve, much like Colorado did. And I have to tell you, Colorado, is doing everything right. And a true testament of that is you look at Colorado Springs, for example. They just picked up over $50,000 a month in taxable revenue, so they're able to add back to their municipal services.
So you think this is taxable? When the Attorney General, Tom Horne, says we're going to tax this, you think he's got a case?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
As a matter of fact, the state of Colorado actually picked up $9 million in reserve funds from the Department of Revenue to offset their budget.
Yeah,
so,
well, we could use it here. I guess we'll take it any way we can get it, some would say, because Arizona's in such a budget crisis. Gus Escamilla, thanks for being with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.